Hello, we're here at Recon Instruments. If you haven't heard of them, they do augmented reality glasses type thing. They've come out with some cool models before in 2010, and now they're coming up with the Snow2 and the Jet. They're really cool. So we're gonna go look at what they got going on. Let's go! Hey guys, we are here at Recon Instruments with Dan, at the CEO of Recon Instruments. So he came down from his fancy office to talk to us. It was super nice. And he's going to talk to us a bit about what Recon is doing. You guys are getting into augmented reality glasses, kind of like fitness companion type things going on. So yeah, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your sports background and yeah.
Sure. We're actually not just getting into it. So we've been in this field for quite a while. We launched the first consumer heads-up display back in 2010 worldwide. This is actually the product in front of us. And we launched it for the snow application, the skiing and snowboarding. But the idea really started out of University of British Columbia back in 2006. So I was fortunate enough to get together with some really clever guys on the entrepreneurship program out there. And we went through this project and came up, well, the idea was for a swimming goggle to begin with, where you had a heads-up display there underneath your right eye inside the goggles to show you all the metrics you needed while you were doing the activity instead of afterwards. So that was the impetus for it. And then it moved into the snow vertical, as we call it, because it made sense. We're in Vancouver, we love skiing and snowboarding. Olympics was just around the corner. Right. And everybody's wearing goggles already. So we thought a little bit more bulky, so easier to integrate that kind of technology. So that's what's our first application. We've shipped over 50,000 units of different goggle types since then, and now moving into smaller form factor sports sunglasses as well. Right. So that's going to take it to a completely new level.
You guys have gone through a lot of iterations of kind of figuring out, okay, what's the best way to integrate these features into sports equipment that already exists, which is kind of cool. I mean, I actually tried on the other one, and it's kind of cool how it's just right in the bottom lining there. And you know, snow goggles, they kind of block out your vision around there anyways. Yeah. So it's kind of cool just to have it be there. You know, how can we enhance the industry that's already there? So I mean, is that kind of the mission here?
That is the mission. I mean, we want to enhance your performance. If you want to be better at what you're doing, faster, jump higher, go longer, and we want you to be able to track that and share it and track it instantly, not having to pull out your phone and unlock it, take off your gloves, maybe drop the phone. So we want to make it really convenient for you, but we also want to enhance your experience. So we have a lot of experience features in there, which really enriches your day on the mountain, in this case with the snow goggle. But with the sports sunglass that we're launching this year, it'll be on your bike. And you're on your bike there, and instead of having to reach for that phone in your pocket, you get the data you need right there and then. And it's, like you said, it's out of your way, it's underneath your eye, so it's really unobtrusive. You can focus on just sort of the world around you and make sure you're safe in what you're doing. And when you need the information, you just kind of glance down, and then the information is there. You don't have to shift focus.
So you've got the snow goggles, Snow2. Is that what it's called?
This is actually this is we're talking history here.
Right. This
is 2010, the world's first consumer heads-up display in a snow goggle. Right. And it had all the buttons there on the side, so that was just kind of a self-contained unit. Yeah. Fairly sort of what we call sort of a simple system in there. It has GPS and some sensors, at least compared to what we have today. So that was the first stab at it. Then it just got exponentially more complex, you know, with an Android computer in there, and we had a remote control that was added the year after, and lots of new partners on board. So that was Seal Optics from Colorado. Right. After that, we was partnered with all the world-leading eyewear brands, like Oakley and Smith Optics and UVEX and Scott and all those guys.
So they're going to be different models with can you kind of choose your lens or whatever?
Yeah, well, that's the good thing is we've completely standardized the system that sits inside of these goggles. So we've developed and patented that standard for the heads-up displays, and all the eyewear companies have to do is to incorporate that standard into their mold when they make the goggles. So they're still purpose-built goggles, but it's one standard. So you can keep upgrading the modules or the heads-up displays independent of the eyewear.
That's really cool. So you got the goggles, and then you're going to release the Jet.
Yeah.
When's that? Do you know when that's coming out?
So Jet, we're looking at a sort of a late spring shipment. We're just working through the production planning right now. We did a pre-order campaign last year in July during the Tour de France, and got a lot of orders sold out, and so we're shipping against those first, and then of course we'll be going, into more mass production over the summer.
It's interesting that the Sacramento Kings just had their Google Glass. They had a game and they were wearing Google Glass during it or something. They should have come right to you guys. That's way more applicable.
We're all about sports, We're ruggedized. We think we're cool. We're working with some of the cool eyewear brands out there. We've already shipped 50,000 units, so we know what we're doing.
Right.
That's kind of our home is in sports.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see us a lot more and working with, teams as well in the sports business going forward.
Really cool, really cool. Okay, so thanks for talking to us, Dan. It was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to take another look at some of the more awesome stuff you've got going on here, but really cool to see what Recon's getting into.
Awesome.
Or have already gotten into.
Have gotten into, and we're just
getting in more.
Continuing to dig ourselves deeper in different markets. Yes,
right on,
correct.
Right on. Hey guys, so we're here now with Tyson and Shane. They are more involved in the nitty-gritty of the software and engineering side of the Snow2 and Jet. So we're going to talk to them a little bit about it. So first off, Tyson, what do you do? First of all, just.
I am director of consumer products at Recon. So basically, I deal with anything that the consumer touches. I worry about the experience, what features are on the device. Things like that, and I work pretty closely with the software team. I write a lot of the specs and basically define what the product is going to be.
Awesome.
Yep.
And Shane?
Hey, I'm Shane Luke. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Recon. So basically everything to do with the products falls under my team. So we have obviously the engineering across multiple disciplines, as well as the product management team, which Tyson is one of those.
Right on. So here in front of us, we have we pulled them from your history box, is what it was called. And so you can kind of see the evolution of how it came from just, goggles to, you got like a PCB like duct taped on the side there. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the process of, integrating something like this into sports equipment. It's not really something that naturally goes together when you think about it.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't if you're thinking about what computers were like over the past 15 or 20 years or longer, 50 years. And that's why you see something like, a duct tape PCB onto a band, because that's a pretty big board. So kind of what you see on the table in front of you is an evolution of thinking and concept between first thinking about it and just getting some PCB that would actually work to do some of the things we wanted to do, and then evolving it into a form factor that actually really worked. It sat inside the goggle. Everything was miniaturized. You could really not even see it from the outside, but you would get this rich computing experience with direct eye information, metrics, connected to your smartphone, connected to the internet.
What model is this? This is a consumer model, right?
That is a early version of something called Transcend,
right?
Which was the first goggle product that Recon launched. One of the key differences between Transcend and later products we have is that it was not a networked product. So, talking about remote communication, everything was on board. So it had a powerful computer, but everything resided on board, including the controls. So the controls are up on the side of the goggles like you see there. In later versions, and I think you guys have taken a look at one of our latest ones somewhere, we actually use a Bluetooth low energy remote. That controls the device. So now you can put that on your wrist, and instead of having to reach up and do anything on the goggles, it was very easily available for you to control. So that's an example of it right there. Nice big buttons that if you're skiing, you can still press with gloves. Very easy interaction, very simple experience for the user.
Now the actual interface itself, where you're wearing the goggles and the challenges of having to figure out, okay, how does someone kind of look at information without it obstructing their view, which is even more important in sports and, like snowboarding down the hill, like you have to be aware of what's going on. So, and you guys decided to put it in the lower right, which I thought was really cool because it's already blocked out kind of by the goggles in a lot of models. So what was the thought process for that? What were the other alternatives and whatnot?
Sure, I'll actually let Tyson answer that one.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we basically did quite a bit of research, looked at the sports that would be or what sports we'd be using this device for to start skiing and snowboarding.
Right.
And tried it in the top, looked at different places, and really in the bottom right was the right place for it to be, the safest. I mean, you're always looking down to see the trail that you're on. It's kind of like a car dashboard where you don't really see, you kind of glance down when you need it, but it doesn't obstruct your driving at all.
Right.
So you kind of just take a quick glance down, you can see exactly the screen, and you don't notice it when you're looking forward.
Yes, and that's really cool. I mean, when I was trying it on, I noticed that. Totally. But what's the actual, do you guys know what it's analogous to, looking at a screen, like a certain size screen far away, like what's the distance? Yeah. I think it was a 30-inch TV or something.
So the comparison that we use, which is an approximate one on Jet, is a 30-inch screen 8 feet away. The one that we've used on our goggle products, which Mod Live and Snow2, is a 14-inch screen 5 feet away.
Right.
And so either one of those, they equate to something roughly similar. But the experience, if you haven't seen it, is a lot like what you would see if you were looking at an LCD TV, a high-resolution LCD TV at a sort of a natural viewing distance from you.
Right.
But it's glanceable because it's not up in your field of view. It's not sitting right in front of you the way you watch a movie where that's the focus of what you're doing. Your activity is the focus of what you're doing, and you glance at the display to consume information.
Now for the Snow2, that's it's right on the lower right there. When you're wearing the goggle, it's right here, and it kind of goes up with the line of the goggle there. And then on the Jet, it's kind of more like a exterior module there. If I grab it. So it kind of comes out on the outside like that. Now what do you guys, you have to take into account weatherproofing and that whole thing. Mm-hmm. What's the deal there? Are they waterproof?
They're IP65, which is a technical way of saying that they are not immersion proof, but they're water resistant. So you could be out in the rain and you won't have a problem. You could drop it in a puddle and you won't have a problem. You couldn't go diving in it with them. You wouldn't want to take them on a long swim, but they're water resistant to a level above what you would get, let's say, from your phone. Or most phones. And so they're not meant to be something that you would use while in an aquatic sports activity, but they're meant to be something that can take what the weather is going to dish out. So
then the interface itself. So you mentioned that there's a remote for the Snow2.
Yeah.
And then for this one, is this uses a different interface? Is that right?
It uses an optical touchpad, so you can basically interact with the device by swiping forward, back, up, down, clicking. Doing soft clicks and things like that.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's a bit different than our Snow, than using the remote. The remote does work with it right now, but we expect most people are going to use the optical touchpad that works. And that also works with gloves as well.
Right.
If you're a cyclist and you're out in the cold, you can still control the device.
So it's really sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, these just tiny little touchpads. This is really
Totally.
Cool. So the operating system you guys run on, let's talk a little bit about that. So is it, it's Android? It's a flavor of Android or?
Yeah, I'll answer that. You can jump in. It's a custom version of Android, Jelly Bean. So it's there's a lot of good bonuses of running Android, right?
Yeah.
One of them being that it can run apps. So you can use the Android SDK. So it's really the sky's the limit with what you can do with it, what developers can do with our heads-up displays. Yeah.
So you guys are putting out do you guys have a SDK that other people can use to write apps for your devices or?
Yeah, we do. We've had one since we launched our Mod Live heads-up display.
Oh, right, awesome.
So it's out there. We just updated it for our Snow2 heads-up display, our new one.
Right.
And it also works with Jet as well. And we just added web connectivity to it. That means so developers can now start, getting app or web information.
Right.
On their
because
device.
the Recon is actually I saw your guys' tagline for it was the most advanced mobile wearable computer ever or something. It's a dual core processor and Bluetooth, GPS.
Ant Plus,
Wi-Fi, right?
All those things.
So you got everything in there. I mean, that's just awesome. Okay, well, I mean, that's awesome. Thanks for talking to us, guys. It was really cool to see what Recon Instruments is doing, and I think we're gonna actually get to take some of them for a spin. So that's exciting.
Looking forward to hearing your feedback.
Awesome. All right, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was Recon Instruments. They were kind enough to let us in here and take a look at their awesome stuff they got going on, their Snow2 and the Jet. We are super excited about taking that for a spin this weekend. We're gonna take it up on the mountain. It's gonna be awesome. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more cool videos like this from NCIX. And we'll have an annotation here when we put the next video up. So yeah, see you next time.